Welcome to Quiddity, produced in partnership with WUIS by Benedictine University, publisher of Quiddity's Companion International Literary Journal. I'm Joanna Beth Tweedy. Quiddity, by definition, means the real nature or essence of a thing, that which makes it what it is. And today, we turn our attention to the essence of spirituality in business and management. We'll speak with Jody Fry, an organizational theorist and practitioner. We'll talk about how spirituality, which is a word not often tossed around at corporate board meetings, can contribute to an organization's people, to the planet, and also to a matter quite often tossed around at board meetings, profits. Jody Fry is a professor at Texas A&M University in Killeen, Texas. But I caught up with him in Fayetteville, Arkansas, where he was presenting at a conference titled Wisdom at Work, held on the University of Arkansas's global campus. Fry's most recent book, with Melissa Sadler-Nisevich, was published in 2013 by Stanford University Press and is titled Maximizing the Triple Bottom Line Through Spiritual Leadership. The triple bottom line is what an organization is thought to be targeting when it addresses not just the financial consequences of its actions, but also the social and environmental consequences. So the triple bottom line refers to people, planet, and profits. I asked Fry how he arrived in the inspired scholarly space that brought forth the creation of his book, which tackles a topic, spiritual leadership, that isn't often readily embraced by conventional corporate culture.
Well, it's been a 13-year journey, and it began in 1999, and I was teaching a course in leadership, and I had this new book. It had just come out, and for the first time in a management text that I had never ever seen before, there was a section on the need to lead from love rather than from fear, and this was needed to be the paradigm for leadership in the 21st century. And there was also a section on visioning, or vision, where it talked about the need to instill hope and faith in the vision, and so hope, faith, and love. And so that began the journey, and it was also a very difficult time personally. I'd just come off a divorce, and it was very raw emotionally. It was a very rough period. And at the time I was teaching a graduate course in behavioral statistics, and we had a master's degree in family life counseling. We had 5 Army chaplains in that class, and they came in at the beginning of the class, and they all sat in the front row like birds on a perch. And I always gave this talk at the beginning of statistics class that if you believe you can't do it, you can't. And somehow the discussion turned to faith. And even though I was asking it in a statistics class, it was really about me. And I asked these chaplains, how do you have faith in the face of doubt? And they all chirped at once. And they said, you act as if you have it. And so those were the forces that came together in terms of the sense that there was a spiritual component to leadership based on hope, faith, and love, and that it was an intrinsically motivating force. It was innate. And then there came this journey to then, well, so what? What is it about that then radiates or manifests? And so as an academic, I began this search. I came upon a book by a man named Fleshman called The Healing Spirit. And in there it was on religion, but he had in there 10 things that are the essence of the Spirit and necessary for healing of the Spirit. And 2 of these were the need for calling, for a sense of purpose, and the other was the sense of membership or belonging. And so I had these 2 aspects out here spinning independently. And at that time I had a major car wreck and nearly died, helicopter. And it paralyzed my arm. So I had some time on my hands, and there was a coffee shop in town that also had like a used bookstore. And I was looking through the New Age section of these used books, and I came upon this little book, and the name of it was God, G-O-D in capital letters, and it's by this person named Horton, and it was written in the late 30s. And it was a metaphysical treatise on the essence of Christianity and capitalism in relation to National Socialism and communism, which were very much in competition at that time. In the Depression, it was not clear that our capitalist system would survive. And in that, he had this continuum of God, he called it. We call it now, we've adapted it and call it the continuum of higher power. And one of the challenges I was having, even though these two orbs were spinning, was I wanted something that we could take into organizations, to change organizations and change the world. Now we call it to co-create a conscious, sustainable world that works for everyone. That is our true vision. And for now, maximizing the triple bottom line through spiritual leadership is the way we see to begin to manifest that through individuals, teams, and organizations.
You're listening to Quiddity. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Jody Fry about spiritual leadership in organizations and how spirituality in the workplace can be a boon to an organization's people, to our planet, and also to profits. We just heard Fry describe part of his journey toward the study of spiritual leadership, during which he stumbled across a book that became the catalyst for his brainstorming on spirituality and leadership. The coffee shop where Fry found the book was called Wake Up and Smell the Coffee. But that particular wake-up call was just one part of a multi-layered journey into the places and spaces where together, head and heart map the mystery of the human experience.
So here I am, and I'm trying to put this together, and then I was in the shower with one arm, and it came to me that in his continuum he talks about the theism in the middle of it, Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. And on the left side is atheism and human secularism or humanism. And on the right side is pantheism. And his point is that, and his definition was of God was anything that we can draw on and become devoted to as a source of strength beyond our own self, our own self-will, which will fail us. And so on the humanistic side, it could be nation-states like Nazi Germany or Russia. It could be tribes. It could be families that we draw on for strength. And on the pantheistic side, you've got Egypt that had the 200 natural gods. And today, the pantheistic God, I believe, is our God of science and technology. And so that became the bridge that put together, that we could talk about hope, faith, and love, the spiritual aspect of leadership within any of these contexts. Now, Horton makes the point, though, that in these extremes away from theism, often, if most of the time, they're found wanting. So there's this gravitation towards the unity or the non-dual or God in theism that becomes paramount.
So you're speaking of a couple of things that have just such a natural fit with organizations, such as a sense of calling and that sense of belonging, those two spinning orbs. Yet these other concepts such as love and technology being a pantheistic pursuit, those aren't necessarily things that might be well received in a business context. So how did you go about that approach?
Well, that's another story of a day spent in the fetal position, in very much agonizing inward contemplation. And you see it here at this conference. How do we package this so it doesn't step on the natural tendency to proselytize, or impose one's particular religion or view? Now, one of the ways we've done it is that we really focus on the spiritual qualities, the golden rule that underlie all religious and spiritual traditions. which at their essence we believe are about hope and faith and a vision of love and service to others. And we believe that's what successful organizations do, when you boil them down to their essence.
And let's talk about how you've managed that approach in the book.
Well, I guess I need to go a little further in this. One of the decisions that I made, that the reason I was in the fetal position, was how are we going to package this? And you see fields like positive psychology that are doing research on hope, faith, and love, and or the virtue approaches. You know, there are a number of approaches that I call stealth spirituality. And what they want to do is to sort of infuse or approach, not in a detrimental way, but that, you know, we can get at these without using the S word. And I had people say use values-based leadership or something like that, that this is going to, you know, you're not going to be able to do anything with this if you don't. And what I just decided to do is be true to what it is. And that ultimately, and this gets at the book, and it's the major purpose of the book, is to find those people who are predisposed, who are looking to love and serve others through their organization. And to me, this is manifested through the triple bottom line, that we want to enhance or maximize employee well-being through love and service. We want to sustain our planet and be socially responsible through love and service. And to the extent we do that and love and serve our customers, and to the extent we do this, we will be profitable. So, people, planet, and profit.
You're listening to Quiddity. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Jody Fry about spiritual leadership and how spirituality in the workplace can benefit an organization's people, our planet, and boost profits. His recent book, Maximizing the Triple Bottom Line Through Spiritual Leadership, explores business models that integrate ethics, leadership, employee well-being, sustainability, social responsibility, profitability, and organizational growth. I asked Fry about companies who are successfully incorporating each of these components in their business models through spiritual leadership.
We highlight in the book 4 case studies of organizations we worked with, and each has a spiritual leader, even though some may not call themselves that. All in their own way maximize the triple bottom line. We have a measure that we have a chapter on implementing organizational spiritual leadership, and in it we give our models, methods, and tools. We have a survey that that's been published in reputable academic journals, and so it's we found it to be reliable and valid, that where we can go in and establish a baseline on the spiritual leadership model and the spiritual well-being variables, and also raise the key issues that need to be addressed to move the organization to the next level.
What has surprised you in the research? What were some things that perhaps you weren't expecting to find?
I think more than anything is the underlying universality of it, in that it's not like we have to discover that it's there. It's more an issue of labels than anything else. For example, in the 4 case studies, one is the largest CPA firm in Austin, Texas. I mean, go figure, a spiritual CPA firm. One is an organization that thrived and died in the highly bureaucratic further education system of the United Kingdom, and it was a leadership development company. One is the largest producer of frozen foods in Canada, and one is a billion-dollar corporation headquartered in Dallas that does power supplies.
So do you have a story that you can share? And this doesn't have to be from one of those case studies, something from your life or your own experience that really speaks to seeing spiritual leadership at work and the power of what it can do as far as benefiting people, the planet, and profit.
Well, really in all of them. I guess the one that really is close to home in Austin is Maxwell Lock and Ritter, the CPA firm in Austin, and they don't use the word spiritual. I mean, it's not like they're not afraid of the word spiritual. And I've been working with them since 2005, and every 2 years we give out the Spiritual Leadership Survey, and they have about 100 professionals now. Back then it was like 30. And so they've had explosive growth relative to their initial size. And we come together, we do this about every 18 months. We all come together in one room, and right after they present the profits, and that's one of the aspects, is transparency. They present all the numbers to everybody. Here's our bonus, here's the numbers we made. And then I go up and I give them the feedback presentation and show them where they're at and the issues that were raised. And it's all embraced within the organization. They live it. They live it. And it's the legacy of their founder, a guy who is a good friend, Earl Maxwell, who's now moved on and is head of a hospital foundation in Austin. So that's an ongoing relationship.
You've been working in the field for a number of years, and a lot of your heart and soul it's apparent that it's gone into this. What do you hope your legacy might be in this area? What do you hope to leave? Let's say 50 years from now, 100 years from now, 500 years from now. What do you hope this place of spiritual leadership looks like on this earth?
Well, first of all, I would say that these will be more long stories based on the history of my life, is that wanting or having a sense of legacy is not spiritual. It's not about me. I look at that book, and I don't know who wrote it. I worked very hard. I did the work. I don't feel like it's channeled. And so my hope is that this lights the fire. It ignites the chain reaction through which, sooner than later, we all will co-create a conscious, sustainable world that works for everyone.
You've been listening to Quiddity. That was organizational theorist Jody Fry expressing hope for the co-creation of a conscious, sustainable world that works for all. You can read about his research-rooted inquiry toward this hope in Maximizing the Triple Bottom Line Through Spiritual Leadership. You can hear and learn more at quiddity.ben.edu. That's QUIDDITY.ben.edu. Support for Quiddity is brought to you by Benedictine University, dedicated to the pursuit of truth and understanding, guardianship of social justice, and cultivation of the wellsprings inherent in the liberal arts. More information at ben.edu/Springfield. Quiddity is produced in partnership with WUIS by Benedictine University, publisher of Quiddity's companion international literary journal. Production assistance for today's program was provided by Cinta Seaver Lane. You can access Quiddity programming as well as the International Literary Journal at quiddity.ben.edu or email the show at quiddity@ben.edu. As always, Quiddity remains profoundly grateful to its contributing participants and listeners, without whom our charge would be without Quiddity. I'm Joanna Beth Tweedy.